Biden's campaign manager, the grandson of Cesar Chavez, was arrested at age 9. His protest politics that he was arrested at the age of 9 for picketing a supermarket. Julie Chavez Rodriguez, 45, fled her May 1988 arrest outside an A&P supermarket in Passaic, New Jersey. He, his sister Olivia and parents Arturo Rodriguez and Linda Chavez were arrested and charged with harassing customers. The family moved from their native California to Jersey, but continued the campaign led by Chavez to boycott grapes harvested by non-union workers. And while the charges were dismissed, Rodriguez highlighted the arrest in an interview with the New York Times where he talked about his political beliefs. Months later, the Bergen Record reported in 1988 that 10-year-old Julie fasted for 3 days, while her grandfather fasted for 36 days to emphasize their union, his last public fast, which is believed to have caused the health problems that killed him. In 1993, Rodriguez, 45, has been given the enormous task of defeating Biden and Harris in the 2024 election. He is a third-generation Democratic activist. Rodriguez's first campaign role was as Vice President Harris' failed presidential bid. He then went to work for Biden and joined his White House, where he was the most senior Latino until he took over as campaign manager on Tuesday. Getty Images. Now, in his most prominent role, he is managing the re-election campaigns of President Biden and Vice President Harris. To win this battle, we need strong leadership that can build and expand our broad and diverse coalition starting in 2020, Biden said Tuesday as he launched his campaign and announced Rodriguez and his top deputy, Quentin Fuchs. Julie and Quentin are trusted and effective leaders who understand the stakes of this election and bring their expertise and energy to lead a campaign that reaches all Americans. But Democrats were concerned enough that the nomination smacked of nepotism that Cecilia Munoz, who led the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs under President Obama, told the Associated Press that while being Chavez is part of who he is, Rodriguez was given the campaign role because he is so skilled and has such deep integrity. Her father, Arturo Rodriguez, led the UFW after the death of her grandfather, Cesar Chavez, while Julie Rodriguez mostly grew up at its headquarters and then went to work straight out of college. Los Angeles Times via Getty Images. Rodriguez is a third-generation activist whose family ties to the top of the Democratic Party date back to the 1960s, when his grandfather and Robert F. Kennedy campaigned side by side. His father, Arturo Rodriguez, led the United Farm Workers of America after the death of Chavez in 1993, and his mother, Linda Chavez, who died in 2000, also worked for it. Rodriguez grew up at its headquarters in Keene, California, and his first job after graduating from the University of California, Berkeley, was 8 years at the Cesar E. Chavez Foundation, rising to Director of Programs, his White House biography shows. He was both a role model and a hero, Rodriguez told KNTV about his grandfather. I was so lucky to have the opportunity to grow up with him and see him in action, ride with him and walk with him in so many ways. Biden turned his campaign over to Rodriguez after spending 2 years in the White House, where he previously worked for the Obama administration. Biden made a deference to Chavez a hallmark of his presidency by placing his breastplate on the table behind Resolute. Reception. However, there is no evidence that Biden ever met Chavez when the labor leader became a progressive icon. Washington Post via Getty Images. His first job outside the family alliance was in the Barack Obama White House, and then he went on to work on Kamala Harris' failed presidential campaign before joining Biden. Chavez became an icon of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party after founding United Farm Works. He appeared with RFK, his brother Teddy, California Governor Jerry Brown and Reverend Jesse Jackson as he led strikes and boycotts in his home state of California, then nationwide. Then President Clinton posthumously awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1994, a year after his death, and President Obama declared 2014 National Cesar Chavez Day. Julie Rodriguez, Third Right, walks with her grandfather and Reverend Jesse Jackson in May 1988, when Jackson was still in his failed presidential bid. His grandfather, Cesar Chavez, was a progressive and Catholic social justice icon who campaigned with Robert F. Kennedy before his death, then Teddy Kennedy in the 1970s, and Reverend Jesse Jackson in the 1980s. Bettman Archive. Biden honored Chavez, like him, a devout Catholic in the social justice wing of his faith, as a hallmark of his presidency by placing a bust of the activist in the Oval Office, though it's unclear if the two ever met. Despite the president's long political career,